The desert stretched endlessly under the pale pink sky of Zorth. Sand rolled like gentle waves, hiding secrets that had slept for thousands of years. A small team of explorers walked carefully over the dunes. Nina led the group, her eyes scanning the horizon for anything unusual. Behind her, Omar checked the scanner for energy readings, while Talia adjusted the supplies in the backpack. "Something is buried here," Nina said, her voice steady but full of excitement. The scanner shows strong energy readings just below. "The sand," Omar frowned. "It could be dangerous." "Old ruins are rarely safe," Talia shrugged. "We came to explore, not to avoid adventure." The team worked together, digging carefully with metal tools designed for fragile excavation. The sand was hot and soft, slipping back into the hole as they worked. Sweat ran down their faces, but they did not stop. Hours passed, and finally, the edge of a stone wall appeared. "This is incredible," Nina whispered. The wall was smooth, dark, and covered with strange symbols. They glowed faintly in the dim light of the planet's sun, like tiny stars captured in stone. None of the explorers had ever seen anything like it. Omar crouched near the wall and ran his fingers over the symbols. "I don't know this language. It looks ancient, but the energy readings are strong, really strong." Talia knelt beside him. "Maybe it is a tomb," she said quietly. "Many civilizations bury their treasures under sand. But these symbols, they feel alive, like they are watching us." Nina's heart beat faster. "We need to be careful. Let's open it slowly. This could be a discovery the galaxy has never seen before." Using a series of tools, the team removed large stone slabs blocking the entrance. Dust rose in the air, sparkling in the sunlight. The air inside smelled old and dry, like sand trapped for centuries. When the last stone was moved, a dark passage appeared, stretching into the unknown. Nina stepped forward, holding a light. Shadows danced along the walls. The passage was narrow, but it felt alive, almost breathing. The glowing symbols seemed to pulse with each step they took. "Do you feel that?" Talia whispered. "It's like the walls are calling us." Omar shook his head. "It is just our imagination. Let's keep moving." The explorers walked carefully, their boots making soft echoes in the long corridor. At the end, a large chamber opened up. The room was massive, much bigger than the small passage had suggested. Stone pillars lined the walls, each carved with symbols of strange creatures and humans in mysterious poses. In the center of the chamber lay a raised platform. On it rested a mummy, wrapped in dark golden cloth that shimmered in the light. Its face was covered, but the shape suggested a tall, proud figure. Around the mummy, the floor glowed with more symbols, forming a circle of light that seemed to float above the stone. Nina's breath caught. "This is unbelievable." Omar stepped closer. "It's ancient, maybe thousands of years old, but the energy, it is alive. I have never seen anything like it." Talia's eyes widened. "Do you think it is awake?" Before anyone could answer, a soft sound filled the room. It was not a voice or wind, but something like a whisper. Nina froze. The sound came from everywhere and nowhere at the same time. "Did you hear that?" she asked. Omar nodded slowly. "It is the symbols, or maybe something in the mummy." The whispers grew louder, forming words that no one understood but felt deep inside their minds. They were warnings, or maybe a greeting. Nina stepped forward, with caution, holding her light over the mummy. The golden cloth shimmered brighter, as if responding to her presence. "This place is alive," Nina said quietly. "Not just the stone or the cloth. Something here is thinking, waiting." Talia reached out, her hand shaking. "Should we touch it?" Nina looked at her friends. "We have to know. This could be the most important discovery humans have ever made. But we must be careful." The explorers approached the platform slowly. The whispers became clearer, almost like a story, but they could not understand the language. A sudden chill ran through the chamber, and the glowing symbols flared brightly. The mummy shape shifted slightly, as if it were moving under the cloth. Omar stepped back. "Nina, maybe we should stop." "Something is wrong." Nina shook her head. "No, this is exactly why we are here. We cannot leave without understanding it. We have to see what is inside." With trembling hands, Nina began to lift the cloth covering the mummy's face. The whispers became louder, like a chorus of voices calling out across time. The golden wrappings felt warm under her fingers, as if alive. Suddenly, the symbols on the walls pulsed together, and the air around them vibrated. The chamber seemed to hum with energy. The mummy's eyes opened slowly, glowing gold, and looking directly at Nina, Omar, and Talai. The explorers froze. The whispers became words they could understand, soft but clear. "Why have you come?" Nina swallowed hard. We came to learn. To understand your world." The mummy's eyes studied them, and the whispers grew fainter, like wind moving across sand. "Then you shall see," the voice said. "But first, you must listen." The chamber fell silent. The explorers realized they had just begun a journey that would change their understanding of life, the galaxy, and themselves forever. The chamber was silent for a few heartbeats after the mummy's voice faded. Nia, Omar, and Talai stared at it, unsure of what to do next. The mummy's golden eyes followed their every movement, calm but powerful. A strange energy filled the room, making their skin tingle. What are you?" Nina finally asked, her voice shaking but determined. The mummy raised its hand slowly. "I am Jara," it said. "I have watched over this tomb for thousands of years. You awakened me, and now you hear the whispers." Talai shivered. "Whispers? They were talking to us. But I could not understand everything." Jara's eyes seemed to soften. "The whispers are old memories. They speak to those who are willing to listen, but the words are not like human words. Your mind can feel them, understand the meaning." Omar took a cautious step forward. "Why are you here?" "Who? Were you before the tomb?" "I was a guardian of my people," Jara said. "We lived on this world long ago, but a great enemy came. They destroyed everything. I and the others became mummies, preserved to warn future travelers, to share our knowledge, and to protect the secrets of our civilization." The explorers looked at each other, understanding slowly. They were not just facing old bodies wrapped in cloth. They were facing a civilization that had survived beyond death. "Why did the whispers call to us?" Mina asked. "Why us?" Jara paused. "Because humans have strength that others do not. Your curiosity, your courage, your willingness to understand, even in the face of fear, marks you as worthy. We have waited long for those who could hear us and act with wisdom." A low hum began in the walls. The symbols glowed brighter, moving slightly like the surface of a liquid. The explorers felt a strange pull, as if the tomb itself was alive. The whispers returned, soft and constant, wrapping around their minds like gentle hands. "This place, it is more than a tomb," Omar whispered. "It is a library, a memory of an entire civilization." "Yes," Jara said. "Every symbol, every line holds knowledge. Some of it can be dangerous. Some of it can save lives. That is why you must listen and learn carefully." Talai took a step closer to the platform. "What do you want from us?" "Nothing yet," Jara said. "First, you must understand our history. You must see what was lost and why it matters. Only then can you help preserve it, and only then can the knowledge be shared beyond this tomb." Nina nodded slowly. "We are ready. Show us." Jara extended a hand. The symbols on the walls shifted and glowed. forming images in the air. The explorers gasped. Scenes from long ago appeared. A bustling city with towers reaching the sky, ships flying above strange landscapes, people learning, creating, and exploring. Then the images changed. A shadow fell over the city. Dark ships, creatures with shining weapons, attacked. Buildings fell. People ran. Jara's voice trembled slightly. This was our end. We could not fight them all. We preserved ourselves to ensure our knowledge would survive, even if our bodies could not. The explorers felt a heavy sadness. Talai whispered, "It is terrible. You lost everything." "Yes," Jara said, "but not everything. Some things remain. Wisdom, knowledge, courage. These can be shared with others. Humans may use it to protect life, to survive, and to grow." Nina felt a strange warmth in her chest. "We will help. We will carry your knowledge and use it wisely." Jara studied her closely. "I believe you. But understanding is only the first step. You must also face trials. Knowledge alone is not enough. You must show that your strength is more than physical. It is in your mind, your heart, and your actions." The whispers grew louder again. This time, the explorers could feel them, not just hear them. They told stories of bravery, of choices made under pressure, of small acts that changed the course of events. It was as if the tomb itself was teaching them lessons. Omar looked at the glowing symbols. "It is like the tomb is alive. It wants us to learn, not just to see, but to feel the meaning of everything that happened here." "Yes," Jara said, "and the lesson must continue. Soon, you will leave this chamber and face others who seek what should remain hidden. You will meet courage, intelligence, and unity. Only then will you understand the full importance of the whispers." The explorers stayed in the chamber for hours, listening and learning. Each whisper, each image, each symbol added to their understanding. They felt a connection to Jara and the ancient civilization, something deeper than time or space. It was as if the past and the present were linked by their presence. As night came on Zorth, the light of the twin moons entered the tomb. The chamber glowed softly, reflecting off the golden wrappings of the mummy. Nina, Omar, and Talai realized they were no longer just explorers. They were witnesses, students, and guardians of knowledge older than humanity itself. And the whispers continued, soft but persistent, promising challenges, secrets, and a future where humans could prove themselves worthy of what lay ahead. The chamber grew quiet after the night had passed. Nina, Omar, and Talai rested for a while, but sleep did not come easily. The whispers of the tomb seemed to echo in their minds, soft and continuous, like distant waves. Jara, the mummy, remained, still on the platform, watching them with glowing eyes that never blinked. Finally, Nina spoke. "We need to understand more. We cannot just listen. We need to communicate directly." Omar nodded slowly. "I am not sure if that is safe, but maybe it is necessary." Talai stepped closer to Jara. "Can you speak to us directly?" she asked, her voice calm but trembling slightly. The mummy moved slowly, rising from the platform. The golden wrappings shimmered as if they were alive, adjusting with each movement. Jara's eyes glowed brighter as it looked at each of the explorers. "I can speak, yes," the mummy said. Its voice was low and clear, echoing softly through the chamber. "But words are only part of the truth. Feel what is here, and the meaning will come to you." Nina swallowed hard. "We are ready. Please tell us what we must know." Jara's gaze rested on her. "You have awakened me. That is the first step. To awaken a guardian is to accept responsibility. You must understand who we were, what we valued, and what dangers still exist in this galaxy." Omar stepped forward cautiously. "Dangers? What kind of dangers?" Jara's voice grew solemn. "Long ago, A race from the stars came to destroy us. They sought our knowledge, our technology, and our energy sources. We could not stop them completely. We preserved ourselves so that future travelers, though strong enough to understand, could learn and protect what remains. Talai's eyes widened. Do you mean they could come again? Yes, Jara said. They move across the galaxy. They are not always visible, and they are not always active. But they seek what others cannot protect. That is why the tomb exists. That is why I remain. The explorers felt a chill, though the chamber was warm. They realized they were facing a being that had survived not just centuries, but dangers beyond. Human imagination. Nina took a deep breath. We will help you. We can protect your knowledge. We can learn and prepare. Jara's eyes glowed brighter. Your words are promising, but courage and understanding are not proven by words alone. You must show them through action. First, you must learn our ways, our technologies, and our history. Only then can you face the dangers. The mummy extended a hand, and a small orb of light appeared, floating above the palm. It glowed softly, revealing a map etched in gold inside. The chamber. Symbols moved on the walls, forming new images. Cities, machines, and strange energy devices appeared as if alive. Study these, Jara said. They are keys to understanding us. Each image, each symbol carries meaning. Only humans with curiosity and patience can unlock it. Omar studied the glowing map. It looks complicated, but I think we can understand it if we work together. Talai nodded. We have no choice. If these things are important, we must learn. Nina turned to Jara. Can you guide us? I will guide you, Jara said. But the path is yours. You must think, act, and decide for yourselves. The tomb will test you. You will face puzzles and choices. Some may seem impossible, but your humanity is your strength. You can see solutions that others cannot. The whispers began again, soft but insistent. They seemed to move through the room like wind brushing against the explorers' minds. This time, the words were clearer, forming images and feelings rather than sounds. They felt the hopes, fears, and dreams of the ancient civilization. The explorers realized that listening was not enough. They had to feel, to understand deeply, to connect with the past. Hours passed as they studied the glowing map. The symbols shifted constantly, forming challenges and messages. Nina realized the tomb was teaching them patience. Omar discovered patterns in the symbols that resembled human logic. Talai felt the emotions behind the symbols, sensing the urgency and care of the civilization. Suddenly, a low rumble echoed through the chamber. The sand outside shifted violently. The explorers exchanged worried looks. What is happening? Talai asked, stepping closer to Jara. The tomb responds to disturbances, Jara said. Not all are friendly. Some seek to take what must remain protected. You must be ready. Nina clenched her fists. We are ready. Whatever comes, we will protect your knowledge. The mummy's golden eyes glowed steadily, and the whispers grew louder, like encouragement. Then you have taken the first step. You have listened. You have felt, and you have chosen responsibility. The path ahead will test you more. But humans are stronger than many believe. That is why you were chosen. The chamber fell silent again, but the explorers knew the whispers had changed. They were no longer just travelers or seekers. They were students of an ancient civilization, guardians of knowledge, and witnesses to something that could shape the future of humanity itself. Outside, the desert remained quiet, but the winds carried a faint sound, almost like whispers of approval. The adventure had only just begun, and the humans were ready to face whatever came next. The desert outside the tomb was quiet under the twin moons. Nina, Omar, and Talai studied the glowing symbols that floated in the chamber, but their minds kept returning to the warning Jara had given. Something was coming, and they could feel it in the air. Suddenly, the ground trembled. Sand shifted across the dunes, forming strange shapes. Shadows moved far in the distance, shapes that did not belong to humans or animals. Nina's heart raced. "Look," she said, pointing. "There. Are people or something else?" Omar squinted. "They are moving fast. Not like humans. I think they are after the tomb." Talai's hand went to the orb of light hovering above Jara's palm. "We need to protect it. Whatever they are, they cannot find this knowledge." Jara's voice filled the chamber, calm but firm. "The tomb's defenses are ancient, but they are not endless. You must act. Trust your minds and your courage." The explorers moved quickly. Nina took the lead, guiding them toward the entrances and narrow tunnels that led deeper into the tomb. "We can create obstacles, delay them," she said. "The tomb will help, but we have to make smart choices." Outside, the shadows were closer. Shapes of tall, armored beings appeared, moving with strange coordination. They carried devices that glowed with harsh light, scanning the desert. The wind carried faint mechanical noises, sharp and threatening. Omar studied the glowing map. "If we block the main passage, they cannot reach the inner chambers directly. We need to use the traps Jara spoke about." Talai nodded. "I can handle the symbol locks. I think I understand the patterns now. They will activate if we move correctly." Jara extended a hand. The light orb floated between the explorers, showing a holographic image of the tomb. Symbols and traps appeared as glowing lines. "Follow carefully," Jara said. "Mistakes will trigger defenses against everyone. Focus on the symbols, not the fear." The explorers worked quickly. Nina moved heavy stone blocks to cover narrow tunnels. Omar rearranged old devices in the tomb to create confusing patterns. Talai activated symbol locks that shifted the glowing walls, forming new barriers. Outside, the attackers slowed as they encountered sandstorms that seemed to appear from nowhere. The desert itself changed. Nina realized the tomb's energy was influencing the world outside, protecting itself. "They are clever," Omar said, "but they cannot match the tomb's power combined with ours." The shadows regrouped and approached. Again, this time, they sent smaller devices forward, glowing spheres that rolled over the sand. They moved fast, scanning for traps and openings. Talai's hands flew over the symbol locks, sending pulses of energy that created invisible walls. The spheres collided with the barriers and exploded in harmless sparks. Nina smiled. "We are holding them back. We just have to keep them busy long enough." Jar's voice grew louder in the chamber. "Your courage is strong. Your minds are quick. You are proving that humans can rise beyond fear. Remember, the tomb and its knowledge are alive. Work with it, not against it." The explorers continued to use every advantage. They led the attackers into false tunnels, rearranged obstacles, and activated moving walls that hid passages entirely. Each move was guided by instinct, intelligence, and the whispered guidance from Jar. Finally, the shadows paused. They were not defeated, but they hesitated. The tomb's magic, the energy of the ancient civilization, and the humans' quick thinking had created confusion. Omar wiped sweat from his forehead. "We bought some time, but they will try again." Nina looked at the glowing orb. "Yes, but we are ready. We understand the tomb more now. We are stronger than before." Talai touched the walls, feeling the whispers as if they were voices of old friends. "They will not take this knowledge, not while we are here." Jara stepped down from the platform. Its glowing eyes met the explorers. "You have faced the first threat and succeeded. Not because of strength alone, but because you thought, acted, and trusted yourselves. That is the way of guardians. The path ahead will grow more difficult, but you have proven that humanity has potential beyond what I have seen before." The shadows in the desert began to retreat, but their presence lingered like a warning. The explorers knew that this was only the beginning. They had survived the first test, but the true challenge was still ahead. Nina, Omar, and Taylor regrouped. They looked at each other with a shared understanding. Fear had been there, but so had courage. Doubt had tried to creep in, but wisdom and patience had won. "We did it," Nina said softly. "We held them off." "Yes," Omar said, "but we must stay alert. They will return." Taylor smiled faintly. "And we will be ready. Together, we can face whatever comes next." The tomb hummed softly around them, the whispers more gentle now, like praise for their bravery. Jara watched, proud but still vigilant. The humans had taken the first step toward becoming true guardians of the ancient knowledge. Outside, the desert returned to quiet. The shadows melted into the sand, leaving no sign of their presence. The twin moons shone brightly, casting light over the tomb. Inside, the explorers knew their journey had only begun. The whispers promised challenges, wisdom, and the chance to prove that humanity could rise above any threat. The first encounter was over, but the adventure had just begun. The explorers had survived their first encounter, but the air inside the tomb was heavy with anticipation. Nina, Omar, and Taylor knew that their journey was far from over. The glowing symbols on the walls continued to shift and move, forming new patterns that seemed to call for attention. "Look at this," Taylor said, pointing to a cluster of symbols that had not appeared before. They glowed brighter than the others, forming a sequence of shapes that pulsed like a heartbeat. Omar studied them carefully. "These are not just symbols. They are instructions. I think they will show us something important if we follow them." "Correctly," Nina nodded. "We have learned that we can trust the tomb. Let's see where it leads." Jara's voice filled the chamber, calm and guiding. "The knowledge you seek is not given. It is earned. You must solve the puzzles, understand the energy, and show patience. Only then will the tomb reveal its secrets." The explorers began to move along the walls, touching the glowing symbols in the sequence that seemed right. As their hands made contact, the walls shifted, opening a hidden passageway that had been invisible moments before. The air smelled faintly of ancient incense, and the light inside the new passage was soft and golden. "This must be important," Nina whispered. "I can feel it in my chest." The three stepped carefully into the passage. It was narrow and slightly sloped, leading down into the deeper layers of the tomb. Strange markings covered the walls, showing scenes of the ancient civilization. They saw people working together to build massive structures, inventing machines, and discovering energy sources that glowed like the stars. "They were incredible," Tali said. "They understood things we can barely imagine." Omar touched one of the glowing machines drawn on the wall, and they wanted someone to continue their work. Someone strong, patient, and clever enough to protect it. At the end of the passage, they entered a wide chamber filled with floating crystals. Each crystal radiated soft light, and some seemed to hum with energy. In the center of the room was a platform with a large, intricate device that pulsed gently. Jara stepped forward. "This is the heart of the tomb. The energy here powers the defenses and holds the wisdom of our civilization. To unlock its full potential, you must understand the balance between thought and action, knowledge and courage." Nina approached the platform carefully. "How do we do that?" "By listening," Jara said, "and by acting. The crystals will respond to your choices, your focus, and your willingness to work together. Only then will the true secrets be revealed." The explorers moved toward the crystals. Each crystal reacted differently to their touch. Some glowed brighter, others pulsed faster, and a few released a soft musical sound. Taylor noticed a pattern. The crystals respond to rhythm. "We have to touch them in the right order, like following a song," Omar smiled. Then we will find the rhythm. Together. They began to experiment, trying different sequences and movements. At first they made mistakes, and the crystals dimmed or emitted low, warning tones. But they adjusted, learning from each attempt. Their movements became synchronized, and slowly the crystals began to glow in harmony, casting golden light across. The chamber dot suddenly. The central device hummed loudly. Panels slid open, revealing a hidden chamber beneath the platform. Inside were scrolls, devices, and crystals that shimmered with knowledge. The explorers felt a sense of awe. They had uncovered the secrets of the tomb. These are their teachings, Nina said softly. The wisdom they preserved for those who could protect it. Jara's eyes glowed with pride. You have shown patience, intelligence, and courage. You have proven yourselves capable of understanding and guarding what we preserved. This knowledge is now yours to learn, to protect, and to share wisely. Omar carefully examined one of the devices. These machines are powered by energy we cannot yet fully understand. If we study them, we might be able to use them to protect other worlds. Talai held a crystal in her hands, feeling its gentle hum. And the scrolls, they tell stories, show history, and guide thought. It is more than technology. It is wisdom. The whispers in the chamber grew louder, more joyful, as if the ancient civilization approved of their efforts. Nina felt a pang, deep connection, as if she could hear voices from the past telling her to continue, to protect, and to learn. We must take care, Nina said. This knowledge is powerful. If it falls into the wrong hands, it could be dangerous. Yes, Jara said, but you are humans. You have proven that you can rise above fear, greed, and doubt. You can be guardians, protectors, and learners. The shadows outside will try again, but you now have tools, wisdom, and courage on your side. The explorers nodded. They knew the challenges ahead would grow, but they also knew that they had the ability to face them. The tomb had tested them, and they had passed dot. As they prepared to leave the chamber, the crystals glowed softly, lighting their path back. The whispers now carried a tone of encouragement, guiding them forward. Outside, the desert remained quiet, but the wind seemed to carry a sense of promise, a reminder that the journey was far from over. Nina, Omar, and Talai stepped forward together, ready to face whatever awaited them next. They had uncovered the secrets of the tomb, and they had begun to understand the true meaning of courage, wisdom, and responsibility. The adventure was just beginning, and the whispers promised that even greater challenges and discoveries lay ahead. The desert outside the tomb was calm, but the explorers knew the peace was temporary. Nina, Omar, and Talai had uncovered the tomb's deepest secrets, yet the shadows that had attacked them before were still out there. The feeling of being watched never left them. We cannot wait, Nina said, adjusting her pack. They will return. We have the knowledge now, but we must be ready to use it. Omar nodded, scanning the horizon. We know more than before. We can set traps, use the tomb's energy, and guide the shadows into places we control. Talai touched one of the glowing crystals she carried. The tomb has given us tools, but it also responds to our actions. If we act carefully, it will protect us and guide us. Jara's voice echoed softly through the chamber. You have learned patience and wisdom. Now, your courage will be tested. The shadows will not wait. Trust your instincts, work together, and remember that knowledge is your greatest weapon. Hours passed as the sun dipped behind the dunes. Then, just as the twin moons began to rise, the shadows appeared. Their shapes were more defined this time, larger and more organized. Mechanical devices rolled over the sand, scanning for heat and movement. Their glowing lights cut through the darkness like blades. They are stronger. Now, Omar said, eyes narrowing. but we know their patterns. We can use the tomb's knowledge to outsmart them. Nina led the group to the first trap. She had placed large stone blocks and carved tunnels that the shadows could not pass easily. Talai activated a series of crystals, creating light walls and invisible barriers that shimmered in the moonlight. The shadows advanced, rolling their devices forward. When the first group reached the tunnels, they were slowed by shifting sand and walls that moved as if alive. The tomb's energy reacted to the explorers' presence, supporting them in subtle ways. Omar raised his hand and pointed to a narrow ridge. Lead them here. They cannot pass easily. Once they are inside, we trigger the energy field. Nia guided the shadows into the trap. Their devices collided with the barriers, sparks flying, while the larger figures became confused by the moving walls. Talai focused on the crystals, directing pulses of light that disoriented the attackers. "This is working," Nina said, feeling a rush of hope. "The tomb is helping us, but we must stay focused." Suddenly, one of the larger shadow figures broke free of the traps and charged toward the tomb. Its glowing eyes scanned for the platform and the central device. "Not good," Omar said. "We need a stronger barrier." Talai touched the ground and drew a sequence in the sand. The symbols glowed, forming a protective dome around the central chamber. The shadow froze for a moment, sensing the energy, but it did not retreat. "Use your courage," Jara said. "Combine knowledge and action. You are not alone." Nina grabbed a crystal and raised it high. A beam of light shot toward the shadow, reflecting off other crystals in the chamber. The shadow recoiled, unable to approach. Omar and Talai moved quickly, activating more sequences in the sand that guided the shadow away from the tomb. The mechanical devices tried to move around the barriers, but they became trapped in the shifting tunnels and sand traps. Sparks flew as they collided with the walls, slowing the shadow army's advance. Minya felt her heart pounding, but she focused on the crystals. She adjusted their angles, creating a network of light beams that protected their position. The shadow at the central chamber hesitated, confused by the energy. Omar stepped forward and spoke clearly, as if the shadow could hear him. "You will not take this knowledge. We protect it, and we will not fail." The shadow seemed to pause, then slowly retreated, sensing that it could not win. The mechanical devices stopped moving, and the remaining figures melted into the darkness of the desert. The explorers exhaled, relief washing over them. They had survived the second attack, but they knew the shadows would return again. This time, they had proven that humans and the tomb's wisdom could work together to overcome threats. Talai smiled, holding a glowing crystal. "The tomb has shown us more than knowledge. It has shown us how to act, think, and protect. We can face anything if we work together." Jara stepped down from the chamber platform, its glowing eyes reflecting pride. "You have faced danger and emerged victorious. You have learned that courage, wisdom, and cooperation are stronger than fear and darkness. The journey is not over, but you are ready for what comes next." Nina, Omar, and Talai looked at each other, understanding that the challenges would continue. But they also understood that they had grown stronger, not only because of the tomb's knowledge, but because of their own courage and unity. Outside, the desert returned to quiet, the wind carrying only the faint whispers of the tomb. The twin moons reflected on the sand, reminding the explorers that the journey ahead would be filled with mystery, danger, and discovery. They had faced the shadows and survived. Now, with knowledge in hand and courage in their hearts, they were ready to continue the adventure, deeper into the secrets of the tomb and the mysteries of the ancient civilization. The whispers promised new challenges, but also guidance and wisdom. The explorers had learned that true power came not from fear or strength alone, but from thinking, acting, and protecting together. and the journey was far from over. The explorers had faced the shadows twice and survived, but they knew the final test awaited. Nina, Omar, and Tali stood at the entrance of the tomb, the golden light from the crystals reflecting in their eyes. The whispers of the mummies guided them, calm but firm. "This is it," Nina said, her voice steady. "The tomb's heart. Everything we have learned has led us here." Omar nodded, checking the devices they had carried from the previous chambers. "We have knowledge, tools, and courage. We just need to act carefully and trust the tomb." Tali adjusted the crystals in her pack. "The tomb has shown us how to protect and guide. Now it will show us its final secret." Jara's voice filled the chamber once more. "The knowledge you seek is the essence of our civilization. It is not power alone. It is wisdom, responsibility, and the ability to protect. Only those who understand this can receive the final secret." The explorers entered the deepest chamber. It was vast, with walls covered in symbols and glowing images of the ancient civilization. In the center of the room floated a crystal larger than any they had seen. It pulsed gently, casting light that danced across the walls. "This must be it," Nina whispered. "The tomb's heart." As they approached, the crystal reacted to their presence. The light intensified, and images appeared around them. They saw the civilization at its peak, people working in harmony, creating inventions, studying stars, and protecting knowledge. The images shifted, showing shadows approaching, seeking to steal wisdom. Omar stepped closer. "It is a warning." They knew danger would come, and they prepared for it. Tali reached out to the crystal, feeling a warmth spread through her hands. "It is alive, in a way. It responds to us, not just our touch but our intentions." Suddenly, the shadows returned, larger and faster than before. They surrounded the tomb, their mechanical devices scanning for the explorers. "We must protect the crystal," Nina said firmly. "We cannot let them take it. Everything depends on this knowledge." Jara's voice guided them. "Use what you have learned. Act with courage, wisdom, and unity. The tomb will respond to your choices." The explorers moved quickly. Omar adjusted the devices to create energy barriers, while Tali positioned crystals to focus beams of light across the chamber. Nina guided the shadows into traps built from ancient knowledge, shifting walls and glowing symbols. The shadows struggled, colliding with barriers and becoming disoriented by the crystal's energy. One of the larger figures broke through, moving toward the central crystal, its glowing eyes fixed. Nina stepped forward, holding a crystal high. She concentrated, imagining a protective shield around the heart of the tomb. The crystal pulsed, sending waves of light that forced the shadow back. Omar and Tali joined in, synchronizing their crystals and devices with Nina's focus. The shadows hesitated, sensing the combined power of the explorers and the tomb. Slowly they began to retreat, unable to overcome the energy and wisdom protecting the chamber. Jara spoke proudly. "You have shown that courage alone is not enough. Knowledge, patience, and unity create true strength. You are worthy of the final secret." The large crystal at the center shifted. A pathway opened within it, revealing a hidden chamber filled with scrolls, small devices, and glowing stones. The air inside was warm, filled with a sense of calm and understanding. Nina stepped inside and touched one of the scrolls. Words appeared, clear and bright, explaining the civilization's greatest discoveries, methods to protect knowledge, and ways to use energy wisely. Omar studied the devices, realizing they could store energy and project it safely. "This is not just technology," he said. "It is guidance for how to use knowledge responsibly." Tali held a glowing stone, feeling a connection to the civilization that had created it. "They trusted us. They believed humans could protect and learn." The shadows had vanished completely, leaving only silence and light. The tomb's whispers now carried a tone of approval and encouragement. Jara spoke one final time. You have passed the ultimate test. You understand that true power comes from wisdom, courage, and unity. Protect what you have learned. Share it wisely. Guard it with your hearts and minds. The journey of learning never ends, but now you are ready to continue it in the world outside. The explorers looked at each other, feeling a sense of accomplishment and purpose. They had faced danger, discovered incredible knowledge, and proven themselves worthy of the tomb's trust. Nina carefully closed the scroll she had read. We have learned so much. Now we have to use it to help others and protect what is important. Omar nodded. The shadows may return one day, but we are ready. We know the tomb's guidance and how to work together. Talai smiled, holding the glowing stone close. And we will continue to learn, just as the civilization wanted. Their whispers will always remind us to act wisely and bravely. The tomb's chambers glowed one last time, as if acknowledging their success. The explorers stepped outside into the desert, the first light of dawn painting the sand in gold and pink. The journey had changed them. They were no longer just explorers. They were guardians of ancient wisdom, ready to face the future with courage and understanding. The whispers faded softly into the wind, leaving a promise. The tomb's secrets were safe, and the explorers had grown stronger, wiser, and ready for the challenges that lay ahead. Nina, Omar, and Talai looked at the rising sun, feeling hope and determination. They had completed the tomb's final challenge. But their adventure was only beginning, for the world was full of mysteries waiting for those brave enough to seek them. And so, with hearts full of courage and minds full of wisdom, they stepped forward, ready for whatever the future might bring.